Hello there. I'm Scotty. You're not. And this is day 23 of Nickelodeon month. I'm pretty sure I'll explain this in the previous one, but I said that this one was the next review I was doing. Technically, it is because I'm recording it next, but sometimes on my phone, when I download pictures for the thumbnails, it will put them under different dates, and sometimes you'll have a picture that goes all the way down to the bottom of my album. So, looking at the pictures, I was sure that this Fun Size was the next movie. Turns out not. Previous review, Big Time Movie, which I will record tomorrow from when you're watching this. Well, tomorrow from when I'm recording this, actually, I should say. I haven't yet reviewed yet, at least. I haven't recorded the review yet, but you will. I will. Is the next review. But we are talking about Fun Size, starring Victoria Justice. Yes, she's back. Jane Levy, the beautiful Jane Levy. Thomas Mann. Osric Chow. Chelsea Handler. And it tells the story of Wren, W-R-N, which is short for, I forgot what her full name is, but I don't know, who is tasked with taking her brother out trick-or-treating on Halloween when her mom is going to a party with her boyfriend. We'll get to that problem in a minute, and the brother gets away, and now the search is on, trying to find him before the mom gets home. We start off with the explanation that Wren's father died a year or so prior, at least. It was in 2011. This is 2012, Halloween 2012. I'm assuming it was a year. I'm assuming it's 2012, otherwise it makes sense. The mom is dating a 26-year-old, which I know it plays out like she actually wasn't ready for another relationship, but she just sort of wanted something that, a 26-year-old that she knew wasn't serious, but she's dating this 26-year-old. The brother would like to believe her brother, Arthur? No. Come on! What is his name? Just says little brother. Her little brother hasn't spoken since, we're led to believe that he hasn't said a word since the dad passed away. Which is, I've seen an episode of Supernatural. The kids are alright, I think it is. Or no. The one with the drowning, with the water thing, it's in season 1. But, yeah. And, so now it's Halloween, and Wren really wants her mom to sign for student fees for college in NYU, because that's where her dad went. And she has this jacket that she wears that was her dad's, belonged to Mike D of the Beastie Boys. I believe he was a member of the Beastie Boys that day for that. And her best friend, why the fuck can't I remember names? Played by Jane Levy. Nope, can't remember her name. I don't know why. Her best friend wants her to go to this party for Aaron Riley, who is, I can remember his name, but I can remember one of the main characters, who is this hot guy who always dresses like Jack Sparrow for Halloween. That's his favorite movie, and they keep making sequels, so he keeps dressing like it. And the best friend wants to go to the party because, okay, I love Jane Levy. She's great in the Evil Dead reboot. and in Don't Breathe. But she's a terrible character in this. She is terrible. She cares only about her social circle, all about, popularity, being popular. She's one of those characters. And I get it, like, at some point. But the character, at some point, maybe this character's going to turn a curve, turn a corner and change. She does apologize to Ren at some point, but then by the end of the film, you get the feeling, you get the feeling that she hasn't really changed. We'll get to that, but yeah, she's always telling Ren, April, and it was April. She's always telling Ren, "Oh, we can't look goofy. We have to make sure that people don't see us doing weird things." And yeah, she does this weird dance when Aaron Riley's driving by, and yeah, and we meet Roosevelt, played by Thomas Mann, and his best friend Peng, because it sounds Asian, I guess, and played by Osric Chow. And they keep bumping into them throughout the movie. But it's Halloween and everything, and so she's planning on going to this party to get with Aaron Riley. But her mom jumps in and is like, "Oh, I'm going to a party with Kevin." Yeah, first of all, okay, you're dating a younger guy. Fine. He's 26. That's legal. But his name is Kevin because it's like Kevin, but pronounced like Steven. Kevin. No. If an actor's name is Kevin, if you're someone whose name is Kevin, just walk away. In fact, run. Because Kevin's not a name, and this is just stupid. Kevin? What the hell is a Kevin? I mean, Kevin? She's going to a party with Kevin. So Ren has to take out Albert. I remember his freaking name. Why do you know that? Give me a minute and I'll remember. She's going out with Albert. She has to take Albert out. But, yeah, so now, of course, Rebecca's like, "Oh, you should go to the party. And you know, this and this and this." So they take him to this haunted house. He's going as a Spider-Man with a dismembered arm. And she's Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. April is a sexy cat. Roosevelt is a safari man, and Peng is Aaron Burr. But, yeah. Why would you want to go with a murder? I don't know, but... so... You shot Alexander Hamilton, right? I think. Yeah, I don't know why they have a costume like that, but anyway. And they run into them at the haunted house thing. The brother decides to ditch them at the haunted house and goes on his own little adventure while the sister, Ren, looks frantically for him and ends up, like, there are several times where she just misses him. He goes to the gas station Slurpee thing or whatever it is. Is it a pharmacy? I don't know, but he goes in there and he meets Fuzzy, who's one of my favorite characters in this, played by Thomas Middleditch. And Fuzzy recruits Albert to get a little revenge on Jorgen, played by an uncredited Johnny Knoxville, who's this guy who stole his girlfriend Lara. It's Lara, but they keep calling her Lara for some reason. If it was Lara, it would have two arms. R's. Two R's in the name. It has one R, so it's Lara. Learn how to pronounce names, writer of this movie. It's Lara, not Lara. One R is Lara. Okie dokie? Okie dokie. So anyway. He recruits Spidey, as he calls him, to help him get revenge on Jorgen, or get revenge on Lara, actually, is where they go, because she left him for Jorgen, who he talks about is this MMA fighter guy, which I believe Johnny Knoxville is an MMA fighter like I believe that Donald Trump was a good president, okay? And you can go off on me for that, okay? Whatever. But still. Come on. But anyway, Jorgen, he's this MMA fighter guy who has a tattoo of a dragon smoking a cigarette. Which, I remember the first time I watched this, and I was like, oh, this is a Nickelodeon movie, and they're talking about cigarettes, and they're talking about boobs, and they're saying stuff like shit, and I'm like, whoa, this is a Nickelodeon movie, right? It's PG-13. This is like probably the first PG-13 Nickelodeon movie, I think. It's weird. It even now, I watched this at least 3 or 4 times already now, and it still kind of gets me. Stuff like that. Yeah, and so they take off, and then Ren shows up just after they leave. And then later, when they're at the chicken place, he's at the chicken place getting the chicken, and they pull in and almost hit him, but then he walks off with the Galaxy Scout, and they don't see him. But, yeah, so they talk to Roosevelt to see if they could get a ride. But he has to ask his mom's. This is one of the things that I think is unnecessary. There's a few things that you could have done to just sort of make this movie a little bit better. And taking out some of this, okay, so he has 2 moms, which is fine. But they make him speak in ancient Greek, and because he messes up a Greek word for something, they don't let him have the car. But he takes the car anyway, so it would have been easier if he just asked for the car, explained that he has to help his friend find her little brother, and then they just let him take it. Why did we have to go through the, no, you can't have it, and then he takes it anyway? It just doesn't make any sense to me. So they take the car, and they're driving around trying to find him. Albert is at this club. They just let an 8-year-old go in a club. And I did laugh because they're doing shots, and he's eating Milk Duds. A shot of Milk Duds. So it's kind of funny. But like, he's in there, and we meet Jorgen for the first time, which is Johnny Knoxville. And he doesn't even have an accent. He's just Johnny Knoxville. And he's got this terrible wig on. And I remember, I guess I forgot because I haven't seen this in a while. I'm like, that is a terrible wig. And then it turns out it is a wig. I'm like, oh, okay. So we have a showdown at the chicken place. I should mention that Spidey's hanging out with his girls, and Jorgen pushes him and steals his candy. And he goes wherever the candy is. He follows, he goes wherever the candy is, he follows it. And so, because Jorgen takes it, he goes after him. And somehow he throws the candy thing at Fuzzy, but that candy thing ends up at Jorgen's house later, outside of Jorgen's house. So I don't know, did Fuzzy leave it there when I don't know. But Fuzzy shows up, and he's looking for Spidey. Albert, my chicken. And, they said, well, he was in there, but we don't know what happened to him. He disappeared, and then he knows he's in Jorgen's car, so he knows where he's going to go. So Ren and them are at the chicken place, and these 2 bullies show up dressed as Hulk and Thor and go off on the car, because this is another thing that I think is unnecessary, is they're driving, and Pang is like, turn the music! Turns it up, he's like, hey, stop it! Goes turn it down, he's, no! He turns it up and breaks the knob. I'm like, did you really need to do that? All it serves is that you raise me up to go through. And they're like, oh no, this is the inspiring chorus. And it just plays out. And I'm like, roll up the windows. If you roll up the windows, there'll be less music playing. Yeah, you might go deaf, but roll up the windows. That'll help. But no. I'm trying to be consistent because like the music doesn't play anymore after that, unless they find the knob, but yeah. And because of all this going down, so they get to the chicken place, and they go, and they're driving in the drive-in through for some reason instead of going inside. But They went through the drive-through, and those bullies followed them. They won't let him out because they had a confrontation. So Penn gets out, and he has his musket. He says it won't work, but he shoots, and then the Thor guy grabs what they say is a drumstick, but it's a chicken breast, so I don't know what it is. And he shoots it, and it explodes, and you think he got shot, but it's just the chicken pieces. And then, so they get in, and they go to back up, and when they back up, and this is before this happens, like they back up, they go to drive out, and the guys are there, so he backs up. I don't think he means to back up, but he backs up, and the chicken thing falls on him, and this is another thing you could. It's funny, but you didn't need to have this. The chicken is stuck and it's still moving, so it looks like it's humping the car. And then the whole fight with them happens, and then April is gone because he's like, "Oh, we're committing social suicide," she says. And it's like, "Shut up! Shut up!" At this point, I'm sick of her talking about how popular they should be, and just be yourself, okay, peoples? Be yourself. Don't try to conform to other things. Be yourself. I don't care what your friends say. Oh, you gotta just be popular. Say, no, I'm gonna do what I want. I'm me. Don't let people influence you. And this character, I love Jane Levy, like I said, but her character is terrible. She's written terribly, and it just was one of those characters that you just want to strangle and say, "Shut the fuck up." You're not really, you wouldn't do that, but it's a movie character you see, you just, that sort of thing. Man or woman, doesn't matter. It's a fictional character, and it's a fictional beating because it's just in your mind. You wouldn't actually go up to that person and do it. It's just, you're watching the movie and you see it, you're going, and it just. So they take off, the three of them. And Pang's like, "I shot someone." Actually, you shot his chicken leg. Actually, you shot his chicken. And, still driving around looking for him. And, they can't find him. April calls and said, "He's here, he's at the party." And so they go there. For some reason, they pull in a drive. When they get there, turns out she was talking about Aaron Riley. And it's another thing you could have taken out of the film that we didn't need, but it only serves to separate Roosevelt from the others because they didn't need him to be there when they go after Albert. Or she goes after Albert. But yeah. And so Aaron Riley's about to kiss her, and because he sings this terrible song to her, and he's about to kiss her, and so he pieces out, but she hears him leaving. Or Roosevelt pieces out, but she hears him leaving, and she goes after him. But then she's like, "If you do this, you're gonna ruin your popularity or whatever." And yeah, so he takes off, and so then she gets a phone call from Jorgen saying, "Hey, I got your little brother. You want him? He put a shit bomb on my house, and it blew up my foot, and now I'm not gonna be able to fight." Which he walks around pretty fine for his foot getting blown up, and so I get 200 for if I lose a fight, 400 if I win. Let's just say I would have won the fight, and so you gotta pay me that to get your brother back. So you don't have that money. Well, too bad. I guess I called the cops. And so she decides to run all the way there, and this is where I feel like they make like a bad choice here. She shouldn't have been alone when she went to confront Jorgen. I should mention that at this point, the mom is at the party with Kevin, and it turns out it's his friend's mom's house, his friend's parents' house, and she realizes that this isn't for her, and she goes home and finds that they're not there after they told her she wasn't there. That they were there. Yeah. So she runs, and then at the same time they show Roosevelt driving, and so it appears like they're going to run into each other, and he's going to end up going with her, which would have In hindsight, I'm like, well, they don't meet up. But then again, I thought, well, if they did meet up if they did meet up again after splitting up so quickly, and them splitting up wouldn't have meant anything, but I forgot to mention a certain part of this movie. So when they're at the drive-through, the chicken drive-through place, April is trying to escape, but Peng grabs her ass and tries to pull her back in, and it's like, no. She's like, if you let go of me, I'll let you touch my boob. And so he lets her go. But then punks show up. Let you touch my boob for 30 seconds. He's like, she's like, for 10 seconds. And he's like, 30, 15, 20. Okay, deal. And so that happens. And then they're at the party, and she's like, okay, do it. And he's like, I mean, you would. If this is your first time ever touching a boob, you'd be like, she's like, oh, come on. She does it. He goes in with the left, so he's like that. And he's like, and he's just your typical first time touching boob. Oh, this is symmetrical. Oh. And then you look at her face, and she's going, like, she likes it. She be liking it. And so, that sets up the ending, sort of. So, but this is where I think she should have met up with him. Ren should have met up with Roosevelt. But no, he goes home and he tells his moms what happened. And they try to talk in ancient Greek, but he's like, no, I'm not talking in Greek, I'm talking right now. I messed up. I broke the car, all because I like this girl and she's wants some other guy. And then he gets a voicemail from her saying she needs help. And I think if that was the case, then that voicemail should have been after she found out where Albert was. And she should have told him, I have to go to this guy's house. It's this address. I need your help. And then he goes to that address. But instead, he goes to her house and tries to prevent her mom from coming in the house after they already met up. And she knows that they're not at the house. But, yeah. But, so Ren makes it to Jorgen's house and goes in. And he's like, well, you know what? Guess I'm going to call the cops for what he did. Because she's not the money. So here, this jacket I'm wearing belonged to Mike. She looks at the albums and sees he's a Beastie Boy fan. Do you have License to Ill? He's like, Beastie Boys? Of course. He's like, pull it out and look at the names or whatever. And then her dad's name is in there. Obviously they put it in there, but that's my dad. And this was Mike D's. And he doesn't leave it. He's like, look. She's like, look. And his name's in there, which anyone named Mike with a last initial D. But he takes it. He's like, oh, thanks for the donation, but some kids belong in jail. It's like, well, really? So then Fuzzy shows up as this cherry bomb ninja and starts throwing cherry bombs all over the place. And the funniest part that I laughed at is when he throws in the pot and the pot blows up and Jorgen's like, my beans! It's just how he is. My beans! That's how he says that. One more time. My beans! It blows up. He's like, my beans! That's how he says that. It's just funny as hell. And yeah, it's blown up. And then the cops come because Jorgen was on. He put the 911 on hold. They're like, you put me on hold? Okay. And so they hear everything. So the cops are coming. And so Fuzzy decides to get all naked and run, which he got naked in front of an 8-year-old. That's felony, I think. But she covered his eyes, and he's trying to make sure the cops follow him and not them. But they follow Fuzzy and don't even question the other two standing outside the house with firecrackers going off. But okay. I think all three of them could have gotten away if they ran in the opposite direction, but So they go to their dad's grave, and this is where you see they died in 2011. So this is the first Halloween without him, and they leave the little pumpkin bucket, which, like I said, ended up at Jorgen's. So I don't know if Fuzzy brought it with him and dropped it out there or what. I don't know. But the mom, they go through this little area to look at it, and they're coming back. The mom is there. At first, I think, and I haven't seen this while, I'm thinking, is it Roosevelt? No, it's their mom. And so Roosevelt has the other car, and he's already at the house, and he stops him. And then we cut. He tries to stop the mom, and the mom holds him down, and then they kind of talk. And they kiss. Roosevelt and Ren kiss. And then we cut to the party, and April's waking up on the couch with Peng, and he smiles, and she kisses him. But I'm going to point out that she hasn't changed yet, because before she kisses him, she looks around to make sure there's no one else there, and then she smiles and kisses him. So she's still superficial. Because if there's anyone else there, she would act out, ew, and walked away. And there's proof, because of this ending. So they have breakfast with candy, pancakes. That's not good for your health. But, no, I should talk, right? But anyway, and they're like, what happened to Albert? And so he's in his room, he's got this little camera. Turns out he was recording Ren doing the weird dance at the beginning of the movie, and he uploads a remix of it to Facebook. And April sees this and is like, this is going to ruin all the stuff we did last night, which I don't think you got very far last night, April, to be honest. And yeah, and then we end with a thing in the credits where he's like, because he does talk towards the end of this, and then he's like, they thought that I wasn't talking, but I've been pranking my mom for the last 6 months. And it's just like, okay, you didn't need to have this in here. And yes, I didn't need to mention that the reason Johnny Knoxville is in this is because this kid wasn't bad grandpa with Johnny Knoxville, so there's that connection. They're both Paramount and MTV and stuff like that, yeah. But I'll say this movie's pretty good, if not a little bit. You need to cut some stuff out, change some stuff around, it would have been a little better, but still pretty good movie. So there's that. So okay. So what are your thoughts on Fun Size? In the comments, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. So the next review I'm going to film will be Big Time Movie. But the next review you will see after this is Splitting Atom, the Nickelodeon movie starring Jason Norman of Henry Danger fame, and that will be the next one that you will see after this. But the next one I'm going to record is Big Time Movie because, well, I need to because I have to go back. So, thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.